MMPTV.
Hi, my name is Miguel Andrade, and thank you for watching MMPTV, where we tell the untold stories of those uniting across struggles to put people first. Today we have Socom Touch and Norin Chen from the One Love movement here with us to talk about the work against unjust and unlawful deportations and how that work relates to issues which affect all of us. So, welcome to the show, guys. How are you guys doing?
Hello, Miguel.
Hello, Miguel.
So it's actually been a while since we've had One Love movement on the show. I know you guys are one of the first guests that we ever had on the show, so it's kind of nice to be able to bring you guys back and follow up. So first of all, if you guys can tell me a little bit more about One Love for people that might have not seen that first episode. We
were formed during the deportation crisis of 2010 of the Cambodian community members. It happened during Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, and also across the nation in the United States as well. We engage our elected officials to let our voices heard because these crises right here is breaking families apart throughout our community and abroad throughout the whole nation in America as well. How I got involved was because some of the community members that was in the Cambodian community, they were detained and deported, and those guys was guys that I grew up with.
I got involved because a good amount of the Cambodian Americans that was being deported here in Philadelphia were actual family members of mine, and a lot of them were like guys I grew up with that I seen every single day. And just because of a bad written immigration law and where our families are now being broke apart, the immigration laws now are retroactive, where if you're a green card holder or you're pretty much not a citizen and you commit a crime, doesn't matter when you did it, because the law is retroactive. You could have done that crime 40, 50 years ago, and if that crime that you committed falls under aggravated felony, then you will be, as long as you serve over a year sentence, doesn't matter if it was on probation, doesn't matter if you was locked up or just even on supervised release, that you would still be deported after you serve your time.
But how do you guys see this relating to the other issues that people around the country are facing, like education, being able to get a well-paying job, healthcare? What are the connections between those struggles and the struggles that you guys and your community are facing?
It's all connected. I mean, just what me and Socom, we grew up in the same neighborhood. It was the roughest neighborhood in North Philadelphia. There was gang infested, drugs. It's just so crazy how my cousin who lived in the suburbs, his role models was like a law enforcement officer, guys that was in ROTC, medics. So his success rate was really high because, again, it goes back to the beginning, education. Education is what's empowering us. I mean, even though we say school and education, but education alone, like just knowledge. If I grew up in a neighborhood that's full of gangs and violence, and it's the only thing that I'm seeing, most likely, I'm not saying all, most likely, I'll become a product of it. That's and just so happened, it happened that way. That some of the guys that I grew up with,
Because I mean, realistically speaking, if you're a refugee or you're an immigrant, the suburbs of any city are not going to be the first place you go to, right? You're going to go into the inner city where poverty levels are through the roof, and that correlates to the quality of education that you get. That correlates to the jobs you're going to be able to get. It's all about where you are in society, money-wise. And I think that the lack of money and the concentration of wealth for certain people is sort of one of the key roots to all these problems.
And it's mainly it was it's really the lack of resources also. 'Cause I remember when we first came here, there was nothing. They didn't really tell us about you're a green card holder, you're not a citizen, you should learn this language and learn how to integrate. We had no structuring at the time for us.
Our friends that we was living in that poor neighborhood was Latinos, blacks. We was fighting each other, but it turns when we start sharing our story, it starts with the sharing story. If I understand your problem, somewhere along the line we're gonna find something that connect, and that it's just divide and conquer. They want us to separate each other so that we will fight each other, and then there you go, another generation of failure.
If somebody had done a crime back when they were like a teenager, and as you said, now they're 21 years old, and they've gotten their life together, and they're productive members of the community, that they could become the owner of the store or barbershop. none of that is taken into account.
The process is, if you're a permanent resident card holder, and you're not a United States citizen. So guys like my friends, they, messed up when they were younger, got themselves caught into the criminal justice system, but they wasn't a citizen. So they were still permanent resident card holders, and they did the time before they leave the jail, the prison system, and then they would be on supervised release. So they would watch them for X amount of years until their time is up, where their number is up, where they can be deported. Basically, it's almost like a lottery. So when your number is up, your time's ready to go.
You're gone.
And then when that happened during 2010, they didn't even give them a 24 hours notice. So keep in mind, guys like my friend had business, had families, established himself, reformed himself. Now, over like less than 24 hours, not even 24 hour notice, they have to change everything. There's nothing at all. They got mortgages, and they just detained them.
I want to fast forward a little bit to earlier this year, where I know that you guys had community meetings with the police department over cases of unjust and like police abuse and stuff like that. Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about the more recent work that you guys did, particularly around that?
It happened in mid-August. There was in the Cambodian community at the time. There was a very big celebration that one of the close friends with like everybody in the neighborhood was having his firstborn. So in the Cambodian like our culture is for you to have your firstborn. That's a very big deal.
Right.
And so you could just imagine how big this party happened to be. And this is in a residential neighborhood. So later on at that time, when there was some sort of commotion that went on with a little argument that went back and forth, then a police officer, I guess some sort of argument, a little altercation broke out where one of the person that lived at that house felt threatened, where he fired a gun at a car. So a police officer comes into where the party's at, and he fires a shot at him with his back turned. He took a shot at the back of his head and he died, maybe in 6 hours later. So they just labeled us as gang members. So now rumors fly around where we're a gang member. We're trying to retaliate against the cops. So from that day to the next 10 days, cops will drive around our neighborhood for every 5-10 minutes, harassing us, sticking middle fingers up at us, calling us names, all sorts of stuff. We're having our monks to do blessing for the deceased, and we usually do it at the spot where the incident happened at. So while we're having this ceremony, and it's a religious ceremony, cops ride by, they look at us, blasting up their music, and just taunting us pretty much. This is the police department, that people that's supposed to serve and protect us.
Right.
Now, who do we actually call when that actually happens?
Right.
So what we did was we organized around the community to get the mayor to look into the case, the governor to look into the case, the Department of Justice, for them just to hear us what happened to us, because our story was not being told.
What exactly were the results of this community meeting with officials?
The over-policing stopped. They stopped harassing us almost completely. And the morality of the community is now back, where they actually trust our local law enforcement to actually do their work, and to serve and protect us, right? And the fact that now the community are now more engaged when they see stuff like this happen, that they wouldn't be scared to step up and say something. And that's probably one of the biggest first steps that I think that needed to happen. Because when stuff like that happen, no one really knows how to go about it, how to organize, how to even file the paperwork, whatever.
Just to keep moving on and to wrap a little bit of the interview on, although we could talk all night, but I do understand that there might be more than just the Philly One Love movement. What's up with you guys? You guys leaving Philly? What's going on?
Well, presently we're expanding to other states, because there's a lot of stuff that happened within all the Asian communities that people it's just the same problem with what happened with the Truth Forum, which is there's communities that they're suffering out there that they just don't know how to go about it.
Where are you guys expanding to?
two core, Mia and Joe. They just recently came back from San Diego, which is on the West Coast. So they
I bet
orientate.
it's warm in San Diego right now, right?
It's
like
I'm seeing
freezing
their
over here
pictures.
right
They're
now.
showing us they're having fun, but and we have our One Love in Seattle as well,
Nice.
and also Kansas City, Missouri as well.
Missouri, I wasn't expecting that one.
And
I
also
thought you guys were going to focus on the coast and then move in.
and Milwaukee as well too.
Milwaukee. Okay, cool. I really hate to cut the interview short, but we're running a little bit short on time. But before we go, is there a way that people can get in contact with One Love Movement? If somebody wants to volunteer or help out with you guys, what can they do?
Awesome. Our Facebook is up, so it's the number 1 and Love Movement on Facebook, and also you can find us on Instagram as well.
Nice.
We're One Love Movement, the number 1.
So, at MMP, we know that this fight is deeply connected to other struggles for human rights, to education, healthcare, housing, living wages, and for the dignity and respect that all people deserve. We also know that it's going to take a movement to eliminate the structural inequality at the root of all of our struggles, just like we were talking right now, and to ensure that people are put first in our society. So you guys can stay tuned on PhillyCam and at MediaMobilizing.org for more updates from us. Once again, I'm Miguel Andrade, and thanks for watching.
Media Mobilizing Project Team.